Hello Cloud Pedagogians, welcome back. Today we are going to discuss the types of cloud computing services. Let's start. So before going to cloud service models, we'll discuss about shared responsibility model. You may have heard of the shared responsibility model, but you may not understand what it means or how it impacts cloud computing. Start with a traditional corporate data center. The company is responsible for maintaining the physical space, ensuring security, and maintaining or replacing the servers if anything happens. The IT department is responsible for maintaining all the infrastructure and software needed to keep the data center up and running. They're also likely to be responsible for keeping all systems patched and on the correct version. With the shared responsibility model, these responsibilities get shared between the cloud provider and the customers. Physical security, power, cooling, and network connectivity are the responsibility of the cloud provider. The consumer isn't collocated with the data center, so it wouldn't make sense for the customer to have any of those responsibilities, isn't it? At the same time, the consumer is responsible for the data and information stored inside the cloud. You wouldn't want the cloud provider to be able to read your information, is it? So, the consumer is also responsible for access security, meaning you only access to those who need it. Then, for some things, the responsibility depends on the situation. If you are using a cloud SQL database, for example, the cloud provider would be responsible for maintaining the actual database. However, you are responsible for the data that gets ingested into the database. If you deploy a virtual machine and installed an SQL database on it, then you would be responsible for data patches and updates as well as maintaining the data and information stored in the database. So with an on-premises data center, you are responsible for everything. With cloud computing, those responsibilities shift. The shared responsibility model is heavily tied into the cloud service types, or we call cloud service models. So what are the cloud service models we have then? There are 4 cloud service models as I have already mentioned before. It is PaaS, SaaS, IaaS and FaaS. What is PaaS? Which is PaaS. I know some of you have seen the acronym before and have been wondering what it is. So let's break it down. First, what does PaaS stands for? PaaS stands for Platform as a Service. Now, Platform as a Service is a service that offers a complete dev and deployment environment for the cloud. Now, this can be offered through public, private, or even hybrid cloud models. Now with PaaS models, you means like customer manage the application and data on a platform where the service provider manages the runtime, middleware, operating system, virtualization, servers, storage and network. And this provides a model where you only have to worry about deploying your app to the end user while everything else is taken care of. Now here is some PaaS examples you may have seen, and it's okay if you don't know what they are right now. We have Elastic Beanstalk, which is the orchestration service offered by Amazon Web Service for deploying applications which orchestrates various AWS services. Now we are going to talk about what is SaaS. Now SaaS stands for a software as a service. To understand this, software as a service is the way companies deliver applications or software over the internet to the end user. Now with using a SaaS product, everything is already managed for you. You don't have to manage anything at all. The service provider manages everything from the application, the data, the runtime, the middleware, the operating system, the virtualization, servers, storage and networking. Now think about a company like Zoom that you may use all the time right now. The only thing you need to do is show up and connect with other people who show up and have a meeting on that software. Everything is managed in a way that if anything happens on the application or software, Zoom will already take care of it. Another one is we have Dropbox, which is a file storage service. That's all about SaaS. Next model is IaaS. What does IaaS stands for? Well, it is infrastructure as a service. Infrastructure as a service is a form of cloud computing that provides virtualized computing services over the internet to its users. So first, virtualization uses software to create an abstract layer over a computer hardware. And what this does is allow the elements like storage, processing power, etc. of the computer hardware to be divided and offered to its users as multiple computers. Now with infrastructure as a service, as the user you are responsible to manage the application, data, runtime, middleware and operating system, while the service provider manages the virtualization, servers, storage and networking. Now this leaves you a plenty of room to tailor services offered in this model to your business needs. Now here are some examples of the infrastructure as a service model that you should be familiar with. We have AWS, we have Google Cloud and we have Microsoft Azure. Yep, there are platforms that inherit the infrastructure as a service model and offer virtualization services and solutions just for you. And the last model is FaaS. What is FaaS? FaaS stands for Function as a Service. So what does that mean? Function as a Service is a cloud computing service that allows you to execute code in response to events. And it uses the serverless framework in which we will dive into later. Now think of a function in programming where the function takes data, processes it, responds or returns a result. This same thing is happening here. Now with the FaaS model, you will be responsible for managing only the application. Now everything else from the data to the internet is managed by the service provider. All you have to do is focus on the code. Now here are a few examples of services that use the FaaS model. We have AWS Lambda, which is a serverless service specifically for Amazon Web Services platform, and this uses the FaaS model. We have Google Cloud Function, which is a serverless FaaS service that is strictly for Google Cloud Platform. And then we have Azure Function, is a service strictly for the Microsoft Azure platform. Alright pedagogians, today we have discussed about cloud sharing and responsibilities, which also lead us to learn the types of cloud computing services. I am very much anticipated to meet you in my upcoming videos. Until then, see you.